Good evening. Thanks for being here. I'm Troy Charles, and here are your top stories. The Thunder Bay District Health Unit has no new COVID-19 cases to announce in their region today. However, the Northwestern Health Unit has reported a new confirmed case of COVID-19 in Sioux Lookout. It's the first new case the health unit has reported since April 22nd among its residents in its territory, which includes the Rainy River District and part of the Kenora District. It's also the area's only active case, with 15 previous cases now resolved. The health unit released little information about the new case, saying only that it was following up to notify anyone who had contact with the individual. And despite the economic challenges of COVID-19, local entrepreneurs continue to push forward with new startup businesses, according to the Thunder Bay Community Economic Development Commission. CEO Eric Zakruski notes 15 new and existing entrepreneurs successfully applied for $5,000 grants last month to start up or expand their business. It's part of the 2020 Starter Company Plus program, which is funded through Ontario's Ministry of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade. Participants receive the money after completing 4 to 6 weeks of business training. They're then paired with a mentor for 3 months thereafter.
I had somebody say to me the other day, who would start a new business in this time? You'd be surprised. We have a program called Starter Company, and we've just approved 15 new businesses in Thunder Bay for grants. And as well, we help coach those folks on their new business startups in Thunder Bay. We've got some new microbreweries that are coming on. We've got some restaurants. We've got some folks doing some manufacturing type activities, producing products and retail.
Zakruski notes there are a number of other companies that have applied for the grant. The CEDC hopes to get approval to award 15 additional grants soon. Nearly 150 entrepreneurs have been trained through the Starter Company program since its inception in 2014. Thunder Bay is asking for help from the province to create a new 40-bed crisis center for those in need of mental health support or who are battling addiction. Mayor Bill Moore recently penned a letter to Associate Health Minister Michael Tobolo on behalf of the Thunder Bay District Mental Health and Addictions Network. Thunder Bay Drug Strategy Coordinator Cynthia Olson explains the need in our community.
There are a high rate of repeat visits for individuals who have presented to the emergency department for either substance use or mental health. And a percentage of those are new individuals year after year. And so I think the question was in relation to whether or not the proposed 20 crisis beds and 20 withdrawal management beds would be enough to support the system. That would be a sufficient ask for this moment. There was no science behind actually pulling that number out, but recognizing that there certainly is a gap. We anticipate that they would not be underused, and so there may be a potential to require further beds in the community.
Now, today marked the opening for private campgrounds in Ontario. KOA Thunder Bay opened their gates, but could only do so for their full-time renters and not overnight campers, which left mixed feelings among the staff. Avery McRae has the details.
KOA Thunder Bay has had to implement some changes due to COVID-19. The park's convenience store is closed at this time, as well as the camp's pool, mini golf course, shuffleboard area, and playground. Under provincial restrictions, the park is allowed to have their full season renters at the campground only. Campers who prefer a 1 or 2 night stay at KOA are not allowed to do so at this time. Co-owner of the grounds, Christy Cooper, says the camp has mixed feelings about the changes.
We're excited to see our KOA family long term, but we're missing our overnight people, the people that come from Atikokan, the people that come in for medical appointments, the people that have arranged with me while they're having their cancer treatments that they're going to stay with me for 3 weeks or 6 weeks. And we have to turn them away at the gate today. So we're hoping that Premier Ford we've reached out to him, we've reached out to our MPP, and we're hoping that they'll see it on our side.
The ability to not welcome overnight campers may take a financial toll on the camp. Seasonal renters receive a discount while overnight campers are charged at a prime rate. The camp, that's closed for 6 months of the year, relies on their summer income to get through the winter months. Cooper admits it'll be a struggle without their overnight campers.
We make more dollars on our overnight stays. And now we'll have to, have someone at the gate turning them away, which is not good for future. They'll remember they came to Thunder Bay, and regardless of the situation, when we should be welcoming them with open arms, we're telling them they can't stay. Go stay at, Flying J. Go stay at Walmart. Is that safer?
At this time, the campground has not hired any students for the summer due to COVID-19 and will be run by Cooper and her family. Avery McRae, TBT News.
Kenora Rainy River MPP Greg Rickford continues to express concern about Manitoba residents crossing over into northwestern Ontario over the long weekend. Rickford recently erected this billboard near the border, warning those coming into the province that they must abide by Ontario's COVID-19 restrictions. Meanwhile, on the Manitoba side, Brian Pallister's PC government put up checkpoints more than a month ago advising anyone entering that province to self-isolate. But Manitoba residents have been allowed to leave for Ontario. Rickford notes so far the number of people making that trip has been relatively small, but his riding would have a tough time dealing with an outbreak, and he laments what he perceives as a lack of communication with the Manitoba government.
We haven't had the kind of open dialogue with Manitoba that we'd like to have had from the Premier himself, who cottages in northwestern Ontario, and some of his ministers. I would have thought we would have gotten at least a heads up on some of their plans. We consider ourselves fondly as Mantarians, but I don't want to make this disputatious. The bottom line is northwestern Ontario is very proud of the fact that we have virtually no known positives. In fact, in Kenora Rainy River, we have none known right now. We're proud of that, but we're a vulnerable region. We're the size of United Kingdom. We have half a dozen ICU beds at best that can support ventilators. If we got a flare up from COVID, we'd be in a lot of trouble just with our own communities alone.
Meanwhile, Canada and the U.S. are in talks to extend border restrictions between the two countries for another month. The current restrictions are set to expire next weekend. Thunder Bay Superior North MP Patty Haidu says her government has received no pressure from U.S. officials to reopen the border.
I think everybody's focused right now on their own efforts to suppress the outbreaks that we're seeing in our various jurisdictions. So my sense is there's not a huge desire to return to non-essential travel immediately. Having said that, this is a relationship that requires everyday conversation, and I know my colleagues are doing that. We have no indication that those measures will be lifted.
The Thunder Bay Solid Waste and Recycling Facility has installed a new camera at their entrance so members of the community are able to check the lineup to encourage social distancing. So far, it's been quite successful. Cole Pro-Main reports.
Early last week, the city landfill on Maple Ward Road installed a new camera at their front gate that streams directly to YouTube. The goal? To allow folks around the community to see how much traffic was passing through at the time, lessen wait times, and create social distancing during the pandemic. Jason Sherband, the manager of Solid Waste and Recycling Services, says since the installation, they're already noticing a decrease in congestion.
I think, this week the traffic flow seems to have slowed down from what it was at its peak, so that's good. And whether the traffic or the camera has anything to do with that, I don't know. But I think it's helped. I think there's probably some people that have looked at it and said, yeah, it's a good time to come out, or hey, maybe I'll look at another day. And like I said, this is a tool that can be used now on a go-forward basis. So we're pretty excited about that, and just another enhancement for the public's experience to come out to the site.
While Sherband is pleased with the improved flow of activity, he still wants to remind the community that when they arrive to drop off trash, that they make sure that their load is properly secured.
Some other reminders to the public when they're coming out to the site, especially in the springtime, is just making sure that you're covering and securing your load when you head out to the site. And not only is it a requirement through the Highway Traffic Act, but it also prevents litter from occurring on the roadways that lead up to the landfill. And it just always reminding people to maximize their loads, to minimize trips to the site. We certainly encourage that not only during the COVID-19 pandemic, but throughout your usage of the site.
The live stream of the landfill entranceway can be found on thunderbay.ca under landfills. Cole Pro-Main, TBT News.
3 Thunder Bay organizations have been thanked for their efforts by way of donations from the Kiwanis Club of Westfort. The checks were presented this past week at the Dewdrop Inn. In addition to the Do Drop In, the school food program ITHMUS and the Faye Peterson House also received donations. The organizations were selected as recipients because while many other charity outlets receive help from the government, the donors believe it's important to make sure the little guys don't get left by the wayside. Typically, the Kiwanis Club focuses on helping children in need, but during these trying times, organizers say it's important to recognize those who continue to work to help others.
You're turning on the TV and you're seeing the goodness comes out of people. You know, with tribulation comes triumph and good news stories. We hear every day now, we talk about heroes. And the people that are part of these organizations are also heroes. You know, there's a lot of spotlight on it right now, but these guys do this every day. And I encourage the public to look into what the Do Drop In does. What does ISMIS do? You know, Faye Peterson House. Just take a look and see what it takes to run these organizations.
Kiwanis officials are hopeful they will be able to make another donation come the fall, but due to the cancellation of the Heimers Fair, where they typically raise over $10,000, that could be more difficult. The city's marina opened today for recreational boating, which had many boaters heading to the Marina Park boat launch for the first time this year. Marinas, boat clubs, and public boat launches were open for the first time this year due to the restrictions surrounding COVID-19. The marina made some changes, only opening 2 of the 4 boat launches to practice physical distancing. The weekend also marks the opening of walleye season in the region, which had many anglers on the water for the first time. The marina is reopened on May 4th to begin prep for the season with restrictions easing up. City Manager Norm Gale is confident city residents will continue to follow health guidelines at the marina.
I'm actually very confident that the people of Thunder Bay have responded well. The people of Thunder Bay are respecting guidelines and restrictions. In fact, to my knowledge, of all the COVID-19 measures, although we are educating and enforcing, there have been no charges laid with respect to COVID-19 measures.
As we mentioned, today also marked the opening for private campgrounds as well as golf courses in Ontario. Joined here now by Mike Mohorovic. And Mike, the day has come. Are we getting some live, or not live, but real sports highlights in your sports package?
First time in probably, 2 months that I'm going to be reading a highlight pack, so I'm fired up. Bundesliga highlights after the break.